Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range. Okay, brother, are you ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, this is for Clementine and Otis. All right, so this week's episode is brought to you by Kingpin Skate Shop. This was such an easy decision for me to be affiliated with these guys because, like, they're my friends. Like, I love them. Like, Guy Miller, nicest guy on earth. Anyway, skate shops, in my opinion, are so important for nurturing skate scenes. They become a meeting place, like a hub of discussion, inspiration, creativity, just a good place for young people or old people to hang out and talk about nostalgia, skateboarding, products, graphics. It's the best. Yeah, you can buy all the same shit online. You can buy skate decks and shoes and all that stuff at a whole variety of websites. But you just can't beat going into a skate shop and physically checking out new product and talking shit with the guys that work in the shop, like especially the guys at Kingpin. They're the nicest dudes ever. No ego. They're all love. Anyway, Kingpin have stores in Wollongong and Penrith. That's in Australia. But if you do prefer to purchase online, go to their website, kingpinstore.com. That's KINGPINSTORE.com and use code THT at checkout. You'll get a 15% discount on your order. And, it's not just for skateboarders. Like, they stock rad clothes, carefully selected brands, and their shoe range is just, like, so epic. Just ask Joey Lyons. Like, I literally can't walk past that shop without throwing money at that guy on a new pair of friggin' shoes, like too many shoes. It's just sort of funny. But anyway, they stock Vans, Nike, Addidas, Lakai, Etnies, New Balance, Fallen, Baker, Girl, Chocolate, Antihero, Hockey, FA, and I could go on and on. So get on the THT code and, yeah, support your local skate shop. Yes, Guy. As always, shout out to our sponsors, Crush Organics. They are the purveyors of the finest CBD oils and topicals. I love them. It's done so much for me physically. It's improved my immune function. It's improved my sleep. It's actually assisted with recovery after training because I love to exercise. I love to box. I love to skate. I love to surf. I'm pushing my body, and CBD helps the muscles relax after and recover more efficiently. So if you go to crushorganics.com, that's KRUSHORGANICS.com, and THT listeners will get a huge 40% discount at checkout. So get on the code. And lastly, of course, Indosol. Love these guys. Been with me forever. We're going to stay together forever. Indosol, I love you. Especially at the moment, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, now's the time to get your sandals made from repurposed motor vehicle tires. They're doing their bit for the environment, and they are advocating for conscious consumerism. So get on it. Indosol.com. That's INDOSOLE.com, and use code THT at checkout and become a conscious consumer. Get the discount, support the show. Ryan, let's go, brother. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks.
Yeah, good to be here, man. Whoa. Good on pass.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Today's guest is Ryan Gooding. Ryan is a husband, father, CrossFit competitor, and endurance athlete. In his younger years, Ryan was an amazing up-and-coming sponsored skateboarder who dominated competitively in the early 2000s. This week, Ryan is with me live from his home in Wollongong, Australia, God's country, Ryan, to share his journey, experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future. Ryan Gooding, welcome.
Thanks, Shan. Awesome intro, man. Thanks for that.
Thanks, dude. It's I don't know. I get really anxious about doing the sponsorship reads. I'm like, oh fuck, I want to make sure I do it right, and then I'm like, I feel like a salesman, but I don't want to be a salesman. But it's like I really believe in that shit, and I like the people that do the stuff, and I need it to keep the podcast going.
No, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I can say that there's some good ad reads, especially you're talking about Kingpin, some awesome memories of hanging out at Extreme Surf and Ski, with Lingard, Joey, Dent, Barry, of course. Just memories of being a skate shop rat, just waiting for asking them to put on the latest 4-on-1 so we didn't have to buy it. Just good memories, man. Real good.
Were you sponsored by that shop?
No, but I know they did release a team like later down the track with some of the local guys, which is awesome. But at that time I was riding Omni for Omni Boards Australia. Kerry Pogson from down Ulladulla, and man, that was where it all began.
Describe to us like what it's like as a young skateboarder being told that you're going to be given free products for skateboarding.
At the time, before social media and everything, it was the best thing in the world. It was basically just unbelievable to get a box on the doorstep. It was so exciting. Come home from school and see a box there. Whether it be boards, hats, whatever. Like I was stoked with the stickers. Like even just to say that you're sponsored, regardless of what you're getting, was like was what felt great. But eventually, obviously, the things progress, and you start to get kind of maybe even like a contract of some description, and have to run that past mum and dad and those types of things. But just to get flowed product is awesome. So,
well, can you tell us like how that came about? So, why did a brand like Omni Skateboards originally want to sponsor you in the first place? Like, how did they identify you, or did you like reach out to them?
I'd probably have to give props to my dad, Steve Gooding. He's a legend. He basically drove me around the country, literally drove me around the country in search of comps and skate spots, and filmed me, took photos of me, basically put me out there. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, 13, 14 years old. I had no clue what I was doing, but my dad was able to, have discussions with other adults, I guess. And, it all come about because of the comp scene, I guess, in Australia. Your Ulladulla skate jams, SDS comp at Horton Pavilion. I just started to get a little bit of exposure just through the comp scene. I guess, I started to win a few, and Kerry basically approached my dad and said, we'd love to get right on the factory team out of Ulladulla. And then that become a 5 or 6 or probably even longer year friendship and partnership, where Kerry took us into the factory, and it was just a family vibe. It was never a corporation type situation, which it was like with some other companies, which I was sponsored by later. But it was just a family vibe, and it always felt just like a group of friends. And Kerry from Omni ended up sponsoring, Steve Allen, Nathan Dent, Jacob Wright. We were all in Wollongong at that time, so Kerry kind of identified the Wollongong scene as as an awesome place to support, and we were doing well in comps and stuff. So it was all about exposure for those types of things, I think.
What do you think the Wollongong skate scene has over the Sydney skate scene, or had over the Sydney skate scene at the time?
I think just the difference is just skate parks versus street. Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to have skated the Pit and Martin Place and stuff like that. So, that was like a mecca for me. I felt awesome skating there, and Joey Lyons and the guys were starting to bust into that Sydney scene, with Davo and all those guys, which is awesome. I think Wollongong just had such a condensed amount of rippers that, whether it's started at Unanderra, Unadera Skate Park, and then progressed to Ferry Meadow, and then to Thirroul Indoor. And it's just an awesome scene. And they had support of, I guess, guys like Joey and Matt White from, the Ridicule, and just people willing to film and get people out there, I think. These days everyone's around with a depth lens or doing it for the gram, I guess, with a mini depth lens on the iPhone, and it's just content's pumping out. But I mean, I remember, filming on Super 8, you know what I mean? Like, just, editing on VHS deck. Yeah. So, I mean, just guys like Joey and Mick Lee and Dan, they led the way for that stuff for all of us in the Gong. And of course, like Lingard, Barry Strawn,
Adam Lingard,
all those guys, I mean, trailblazed. But yeah, I still like to pick up a board from time to time, but man, it makes me think. I took my kids to Darabole the other day, so I was like, man, I feel old now. Like,
like, I guess, like, to go on that line of discussion a little bit more. I mean, if you reflect on your teenage years and your time skateboarding, like, overall, are you having fond memories, or is there a combination of fond memories and also was it a challenging time in other ways?
All positive. Yeah, I can't think of anything negative to do with those years. I mean, I used to, when I was probably 9 or 10, school holidays, my mum would work at Unadera. She would drop me off at 8 o'clock in the morning because she started then, and she would finish at 2 and she would pick me up. That was every single day of every school holidays for years. So I'm talking, like I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning, like, picture Dera Bowl, 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. There's no one there. It's cold, but I'm there with a board, like, hoping someone will come there. And it eventually ended up getting some local rippers and stuff, and we formed a crew. And I've got nothing but fond memories of those times. And I think that I got everything I wanted to from skateboarding. I got sponsored and I got some exposure. I got a video part out there through About Time through Matt White from Ridicule. I got some photos in the mags, got some ads ran, won a couple of big comps. I think I'd done everything I wanted to. And then I think I got out, not like I got out at the right time, but, I didn't ride it out much longer than that. I kind of, I probably could have given it another 2 or 3 years, but I think at that time, the level just kept stepping up and up as far as like what was good in skateboarding. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're, 10 stairs is now nothing. Like now it's 20. And it's like, oh, you want to get a photo in the magazine? It's like, oh, I'll take you to a spot, 20 stair rail or something. And I'm like, oh, at the time I was just like, that's beyond me. Like, I'm not there. Like, and I've heard similar stories of people, on the cusp of making it big in the US. Like, of course you got your Dolans and guys like that, your Dustins. But it becomes like, you might get a chance to go to the US with a certain team. And then when you get there, they're like, okay, I'm going to take you to Carlsbad, and you've got to, everything's been done except a switch tray. And then you're like, this is too big for me. And they're like, oh, well, you know what I mean? It seems like the pressure just got too high. Yeah.
I guess that was one of my questions. Like, was going to the States ever part of your plan at any stage?
I really wanted to go to Woodward, but that was just for fun. Yeah, my dad, we looked into that. That's just as an experience. But yeah, it wasn't really I think, I don't think that my street game ever got serious enough to warrant that. Not to say that you need a high street game, but at the time it was like, that was when Baker 2G and all that was kicking off, and it was just like everything was like after Black Hammers, like Greco and all that. So I was just like, oh, my tech stuff at Ferry Meadow isn't cutting it.
on small trannies. But, just it's funny you mentioned Dustin Dolan. I mean, Yeah, he went to the States and absolutely just killed it. Like, and some of his video parts are just mind blowing, and he has this uniqueness about him that you just can't deny. But he broke his body, man. I mean, he's had something like 12 knee reconstructions. You know, he really busted himself. You know, and his longevity is unquestionable. I mean, that guy has not stopped. Like, he's still living the dream, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I just think, and also like, it wasn't just me going like, oh, I can't compete at this level. I think that, you know, I turned, you know, started to discover like, you know, oh, the pub's cool, and, you know, it's fun to party with friends, and, you know, all of a sudden, you know, skateboarding is like not taking a back seat, but it's like, oh yeah, let's skate, but I can't wait till we go to the Oxford tonight. Like, you know, partying becomes a thing. Yeah, for sure. Like, I got right into partying and having an awesome time, and, you know, which is like par for the course. But I don't think that you know, I think that I was already kind of petering off at that point. But yeah, I discovered that, you know, beer tastes good, and it's fun to party with your friends, and, you know, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny to hear you say that, because for me personally, I always had this image of you as being like really clean cut and focused in that era where you were glorified if you could skate hard and party harder. If you could do both, there was like, you get this level of respect. Well, it was like that amongst my friends, I guess, to an extent.
Well,
but then I remember you though. I have these vivid memories of you turning up to the skate park with your like shoulder length, long blonde hair, and just super healthy looking. And I actually remember your dad too. And I just remember like, there's a really clean cut, nice family. Like, your dad was always super friendly and super kind and encouraging. And then I could see you like focused, working out your comp run. And I was like, that's cool. Like, I actually respected it. But I never seen you as that, in that category as party guy. So to hear you say that,
I think
funny.
I think when I had my long hair and stuff was probably like at the Fair Meadow comps and stuff. Like, I think that was probably a bit earlier on. When I got into partying and stuff was probably when I was like 17, 18, 19. So I was probably a bit past that at that point. But yeah, I think I've reverted a bit more to my clean cut vibes now, but I still do. I still like to party from time to time, but it's few and far between now, because as you know, family is first, and, you know, providing for family is like my number one priority, and, you know, my number one goal is to be a good dad. And, you know, it seems like everything that I do now is kind of supplementary to that, as in like, I like, you know, long distance running. I like CrossFit so I can be healthy and happy to then be a good dad too. Yeah, it kind of all feeds back into that.
Okay. Why do you think you value that?
I think once I met my wife, Amy, and we kind of established a life together, and became partners, I guess, in more ways than one, like creating a home and buying a home and selling a home and just doing those domestic things. That's where I found most happiness, I guess. Like, you know, I like to nothing more than coming home from work and seeing the kids and Amy and just feeling, I guess. I never want anyone to think, my worst nightmare is for people to think that I'm not like motivated, or, you know, and it's kind of a curse as well. Like, I care a lot about what people think about me, so I'm always trying to.
Why?
I don't know. I always, my worst nightmare is for someone to say like, oh, Ryan's lazy, or Ryan isn't this, or Ryan isn't that. And it's not like it's
worst night.
Yeah.
Worst nightmare.
Oh,
really?
Not. It's up there. Like, you know, I care what people think about me. I want them to think that I'm, that, you know, I'm all things to all people. So it's hard sometimes though.
You want what when you say all things to all people, like a strong, clean-cut family man. You want that image.
Yeah, and I want people to think that I'm a good runner. I want people to think that I'm good at CrossFit. I want people to think that, I used to be an awesome skater. I want people to think that I'm awesome at my job, and I want to get exposure at work and kind of be, I care a lot about my reputation and stuff like that.
Well,
yeah.
sorry to push you a little bit on this, but like, why is that a priority for you? What having a reputation?
I don't know. It just makes me. And of course, it's not the basis of everything I do, but it helps. It's kind of a motivator. Like, you got to get after it. Yeah, it's not. I do things for their intended reasons. So if I'm having an awesome time with the kids or my wife, I'm not thinking like, oh, I hope someone thinks that I'm doing a good job. It's more that, it just kind of keeps me in check personally. So, I kind of wake up with a little bit of motivation, just to, life be in it, that old slogan. That really stuck with me. It's like, I really want to get up. I don't want to be, I don't want to be lazy. I want to get out there and do things,
Like be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. Yeah, that sums it up. Yeah.
Do you ever find like being a father daunting?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. Jude, my son. Yeah, my son Jude just started school, kindergarten this year, and
congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, there's so much you don't think about. You just think, oh yeah, he'll be going to school, but then you're like, holy shit, I got to make sure that I'm on top of like notes coming home and what uniform he's wearing on what day, and make sure he's got his hat. And it's really cool. And my daughter Ellery's 3, turning 4, and she's at preschool, and she's a handful, and she's so vivacious and wild, which she's a free spirit, which is so cool, because Jude's kind of a little bit more reserved, and she definitely complements that.
It's really cool, bro. I mean, isn't it crazy how your 2 children can have such different personalities? Yeah.
Man, like, it's insane. Like, yeah, Jude would happily sit with me all day and just like watch a show or just chill. Or if I say, hey, you want to go to the park? He'd be like, yeah, let's go to the park. It sounds great. Whereas Ellery would be like, I'm like, where's Ellery? I haven't seen her this morning. Like, she's up in bed still. And I go out there and we're like, hey, like, we got to go to school. And she's just like, hide under the covers. It's like basically have to drag her out, like, some sort of possum from out of a tree. Basically, yeah, just like kicking and screaming into her clothes for the day, and basically throw her in the car. But then, like, all of a sudden she'll be like, oh, I love you, Dad. I want to marry you. I'm like, oh,
I want to marry you.
You just won me back over. I know.
That's so cute, though. I talk about this all the time. Like, yeah, I'm just so smitten with my kids. And I'm smitten with my daughter in a different way. It's just like, it's almost like as a father, it's just snapped me out of so much of my own mental bullshit. It just simplified my life. And I heard an interview with Andrew Reynolds once, pro skater, and he was talking about his daughter. And I really respect Andrew Reynolds. I've always just, obviously amazing skateboarder, but just the way he does life, they call him, all his friends call him the boss, because he just takes responsibility for his life. Like he owns everything. He's honest about things, and I really respect his sobriety journey as well. And he talks a lot about that. And he said with his daughter, he just figured that he just needs to be the most solid, best version of himself, because his daughter is just going to pick a man similar to his character. And that's what motivates him to stay sober and take ownership of his life and be kind and constantly try to improve himself in every way. And it's like, what a fucking awesome way to live.
And she's ripping too. Like, the footage of her skating is insane. It's so cool to see that. It's like, of course she's ripping. but like he's made it clear that like, you know, she's her own person, and like he's not trying to like, he's like, hey, I'm not trying to get involved in this, just, you know, so she's just ripping on her own accord. Like, it's not like all of a sudden she's on like pro for Baker or something. It's like she's just doing her own thing. I think she rides for Element, like, so it's completely off the other side. So it's so cool. Yeah.
It is cool. And I remember he talked about how he didn't want to push her into skateboarding, but obviously she's surrounded by that, and yeah, she found it herself. And
yeah, I feel the same. Like, I got due to board, and you know, taking him to Darra skate park and stuff, but you know, a scooter is just easier for him to ride, and it allows him to like explore the skate park more and stuff, rather than having him falling off the skateboard saying, I don't want to be here. So, you know, as much as I'd like to see him on a skateboard instead of a scooter, of course, but just seeing him enjoy using a skate park in whatever mode is happy for me, you know.
I
No
respect
comment.
you. I respect you, Ryan. I still respect. But
Yeah.
You're a better human than me, because I'm like,
I know,
my kid's never ridden a fucking scooter. So
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Hey, it could be blades, man, but you know they don't do those no more.
See, you know what, man? Compared to scooters, I love rollerblades.
Yeah, for sure. No, as soon as he's a little bit bigger and like, you know, physical and can actually move a board around, I think he'll pick it up. But just a little bit small at the moment. But yeah, it is quite funny. I think my dad feels the same. He's like, it's like, oh, Jude looks like he's enjoying his scooter. He's probably looking at me going, how could you? That's my grandchild.
It's child abuse, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Almost.
How would you describe your relationship with your father?
Kind of like best friends.
Yes. Rad. What an inspiration.
Yeah, he's such a legend. He's he obviously grew up surfing and in Wollongong, come over from England when he was like 10. Basically started, all of a sudden discovered the Australian surf and skate scene in the 70s, which is just rad. Obviously, you know, you Bertelmans and all that stuff. And yeah, just started Tony Alva and all that, just started basically imitating what they were doing in Dogtown from, you know, Kanahooka and Dapto, like finding any type of curve, bank, and just, you know, doing a layback on it, just basically surfing on a skateboard, setting up
Unanderra drains.
Yeah, like and they even had drains. Do you remember those drains in Canberra before the skate parks were down there? Yeah,
and Ainsley drains.
So he's got photos of, like, you know how we might have went to Canberra to skate Belco or something. He was the only down there to skate. Oh, apparently there's these drains you can skate in Canberra, and he's got photos and stuff. So cool.
Legend. Yeah, he's got photos.
Yeah,
fuck, I'd love to see them.
Dude, you got to come over for a movie night one night. The amount of VHS footage of the old comps and stuff. We should just watch it and have a movie night. It's a trip.
He kept all that. Did you keep it? Your dad kept it.
My dad's got it all, and he's got everything. He's got photos, footage, everything. He's kept all the old comp pamphlets and stuff. This is like pre-internet days, so you'd find out about comps at like Extreme. There'll be like a flyer that someone had dropped in from Newcastle saying, come up to Newey for a comp next weekend, and then my dad would be like, we're up there. So
he was psyched.
It was so cool. Yeah, he was psyched. He's like, you're going to win this. Like, and it was never a pressure thing, but he was just like proud dad. Like, yeah, my son rips. He's going to, like, yeah. And a lot of the time he would win it. So he would, like, thieves in the night just come in and like win and then go, yay, and then drive back to Wollongong like 6 hours or something.
Right. So
it was such cool memories. And yeah, we always talk about it if we have drinks together or whatever. We always reminisce, and yeah, we have an awesome relationship. He's very supportive. He's an awesome grandfather, and same as my mum. They're great. They're nothing but supportive, and yeah, it's always good to have a good relationship like that.
As you grow up and start to have these more adult experiences, you know, parenting and full-time jobs and houses and all that shit, do you feel like you need your parents more now than ever?
Mainly to bounce things off, I guess, and yeah, just it's kind of like when you're a kid, when you like clean your room, you're like, Mum, come look at my room. And they come in, they're like, wow, good room. Like, that's kind of what I'm like now. I'm like, hey, Dad, like, we renovated our bathroom. Come and look at it. And then, like, the dad will walk around and they go, this is a good bathroom. You're like, oh, cool. I've done the right thing. Like,
well, if he gives it the stamp of approval.
Yeah, if he like taps on the wall and it's like, oh, this is good. I'm like, yeah, cool. Well, I made the right decision. But yeah, I think it's more of a and I've often toyed with this. I guess this idea, like, it's hard to be friends with your dad too, because sometimes you're like, I want him to be just my dad. This is going back like a while, but now I realize, actually, if me and Jude are like best mates, then I'll be stoked too. Like, so whether it be, hey, Dad, can you, my friends want to come over, can you buy us a case of beer, or whatever it may be. It's like, I'd rather Jude have a conversation with me than like try and, say, oh, I'm going to my friends for a movie night or something. And you're like, okay, like, I know what's up. Yeah.
It's trust. Like, so it's like a trust earning, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. Like my dad, I can tell my dad anything. He can tell me anything, no judgment. And, I've got a brother and sister who are, having their own family and stuff now, and getting married and getting their own houses and stuff. So it's exciting times. I could, they're very proud grandparents, grandparents and parents, just watching the family start to grow up and stuff. And I think now when we go to my mum and dad's house and stuff, it's more everyone just getting together to celebrate and have a good time. Whereas before it was kind of like, that was home base, and they were kind of doing more of the just general stuff. Like if we were living there, of course, it'd be, kids can be annoying if they're living at home when they're older. It's just like having a roommate that doesn't pay rent,
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's so cool. And I just love that. I love hearing you talk about your dad like that, man. I mean, it's inspiring, and what a great motivator for you to do the same. But I do have one awkward question for you. Like, as a sort of awkward, as an awkward teenager skateboarding and stuff, were you ever embarrassed about your dad turning up to the skate park with you? Did you ever have those moments?
The most annoying thing that we often fought over was that my friends would be like really like into my dad and be like, "Hey man, your dad's awesome." It was so frustrating. And then like like, "Oh, your dad's so cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, what about me?" Like, and I used to say like, "Oh, it was always like, Dad would get a text and be like, "Oh, who's that?" It's like, "Oh, it's Steve Allen." Or something. I'm like, "Why is he messaging you?" It's like, "Oh, we're just talking about going to the skate park this weekend." It's like, "Oh, okay." What about
hilarious.
No, it wasn't. And my dad's it's not like my dad was I shouldn't say normal dad, but he's quite young and he looks young, and he was a surfer and quite fit and stuff. So it was always just like,
surfing, man.
Yeah, he was just like, it was kind of like my. People were like, I'm like, "That's my dad." They're like, "No way, he's not. That's not your dad." Dude. I'm like, "Yeah, it's my dad." Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
surfing and skateboarding are the fountain of youth.
Dude, my dad's been going through some stuff at the moment. He's hurt his back quite badly, just like muscular stuff. Just getting old, I guess. But he's been really, really down because it's impacted his surfing. Like, it's amazing. Like, he's just like, it's impacting on my ability to like stand up on a surfboard, and that's like the worst thing in the world. Which, I feel I'd like, if I'd done a knee tomorrow and it's like you can't run, like the feeling, it would be so hard to comprehend that and try and work around that. But he's been really good with his rehab, and he's really focused, and we talk to each other like twice a day, and he's saying, I got wet today, and I got a massage, and I'm coming back, and it's hard. Like I've never had that, and I feel so lucky that I've never had a major injury, even through skateboarding. You know, of course, rolled ankles and hippers and all that stuff, but you know, I've never had a period where I've, you know, had a knee reco or anything like that, and you know, I'm really worried about that. Yeah.
Okay. What do you put that down to? Do you put it down to sheer luck?
I think so, because my flexibility and stuff is quite bad. You know, I'm working on it a lot through CrossFit. Go to CrossFit Reclaim in Unanderra under the tutelage of Sam Murphy. He's one of the coaches there. He's basically a genius. You know, he looks at you for 5 minutes and then he can tell you everything, basically saying like, you know, you need to do this, you need to work on your flexibility, you're tight through here. And, you know, he's identified lots of weaknesses. It's a lot of flexibility and mobility stuff that I really put that stuff off. It's not fun for me anyway. Like, you know, stretching and yoga and stuff for me, I'd love to get into it, but I'm always just like, you know, kind of crack my knuckles and say like, okay, let's start the workout. And
let's lift
weights and let's run and stuff. But I'm realizing as I'm getting a bit older and, you know, I'm starting to think, you know, shit, I am in risk of like hurting myself if I'm not maintaining my flexibility and doing all those supplementary things.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know CrossFit's big on joint mobility. And that's what I want to lead into a little bit. I mean, we've talked a little bit about your past growing up, skateboarding competitively and traveling around doing that. Now in this phase in your life, you seem like you're very committed and motivated by CrossFit. Like, what drew you to it originally?
I think I was trying to make a switch from the long distance running stuff, mainly just due to the amount of time that you have to invest into that sport is crazy, and having a family and stuff, you know, the 4, 5, and 6 hour, you know, runs just become, you know, I've got a very supportive and patient wife, Amy, but you know, that type of stuff wears thin on, like, you know, your Sundays, you know, Sunday mornings are basically gone. It's like, okay, you know, you can have me from midday Sunday, like the rest of the time is blocked out for running, and that's a selfish endeavor. You know, she's very supportive, and she didn't see it as selfish on my part. She knows that's what I like and what I want to do, but I started to feel that myself. Like, I'm like, this is, you know, I started to think, if Amy told me I want to do something for 6 hours, I'd be like, that's a long time, man. Like, that's really long. The thing about CrossFit is it's an hour, basically. You know, it's like 20 minutes warm up, 20 minutes high intensity, 20-minute cool down or strength. And that hour just became so much more convenient and approachable, and not to mention, you think you're fit when you're running long distances and stuff like that, but you know, when you start doing something different, you're like, someone's like, do a pull up, and you're like, oh, I can't do one. Like, you know, I'll pick up this barbell, I don't know how, or, you know, it's too heavy. Amy, my wife, Amy, actually started going to CrossFit, and that kind of attracted me to it at first. So, yeah.
Do you do those kip ups, where you swing into?
Yeah, kipping pull-ups. Yeah. I can't do the butterfly ones, but yeah.
Is that safe? Like
the strict pull-ups.
Is it safe? It's not harmful to your joints?
No, it's all about technique, and it's all about, you know, you're not going to start trying to do like muscle ups and you know, butterfly pull-ups and stuff if, you know, like I said to Sam, like, I want to do muscle ups, and he's like, okay, I can teach you muscle ups. And he goes, do 10 strict pull-ups, like full hang 10 in a row. And like, I got to like 5 and I was like, and he's like, you haven't got the prerequisite strength and mobility to learn muscle ups safely yet. And I was like, it was kind of like it was kind of like a sensei type thing. He's like, yeah, sure, I can teach you in 5 minutes. He's like, you know, do 10 pull-ups. And I'm like, and he's like, come back to me when you can do 10 pull-ups. So it's that, you know, that's the type of stuff that's cool about it. It's all, the awesome part about CrossFit too is the scaling. So you go into the gym and there's a workout on the board, and it basically, you know, the prescribed weight might be 100 kilos for, you know, say a deadlift. And obviously you look around you and there's people that can't even do half of that. And then it becomes, okay, well, you know, what can you do? What's heavy for you today? And that's the coolest part about it, is the scaling options and just the support of the coaches. And yeah, just the whole methodology of CrossFit is cool. It's all about functional fitness. Just basically you're training for the pursuit of just general fitness. It's not like triathlon, which I do like, but it's not like you're riding a bike, swimming and running so that you can be a better triathlete. CrossFit is like, there is a competitive aspect of it too. Like, you know, you're training for competitions and you're trying to be very broad, but it's more about just being healthier generally. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to lead into. It's more of a holistic, what I like about it, it's more of a holistic approach to physical well-being and mental well-being. Like, so about 7 or 8 years ago, I heard about the way to eat, the paleo lifestyle, where like eating whole foods, you know, no grains, no dairy, no refined sugar. And I went on a real trip with it. I was so committed to it for years. And you know what, to be honest, that's the foundation of how I eat now. But straight away, they're like, that was when I heard about paleo, I also heard about CrossFit. They're saying like, this is how a lot of CrossFitters are eating. Okay, it's like lower carbs or carbohydrates coming from vegetables and fruit. And just like a really sort of whole food diet. Is that something you also adhere to? Like, has it transferred into that aspect of your life as well?
I'd like to say as much as the training methodology has, but you know, when I stopped skating, you know, because you don't realize when you're skating, it's not like you're tracking calories and stuff, where like we do now, you don't have wearables and stuff. You skate for 10 hours. Like, can you imagine how many calories you would have burnt? Like, you know, you remember sweating through like 5 or 6 shirts, jeans. Remember that? Like, that's like that's running 2 marathons.
I wasn't sponsored, so I didn't have 5 or 6 shirts to take to the skate park.
you just took it off. Dude,
no shirt, man.
Speaking of that photo of Nexus, that photo of you at Nexus brought back some awesome memories, man. That was so cool. That was such a cool story.
Thanks, bro.
That was so awesome. That was so cool. I remember seeing photos of Nexus, just being like, I want to go there. It was like some sort of Disneyland. I remember seeing it in the mags.
Well, it's funny, that era, I mean, there wasn't a lot of good skate parks. It was really in the whole country. It was kind of just like there was Fairy Meadow, there was like Curl Park, there was like Belco, and I don't know, like maybe Ulladulla a bit later. Yeah, and then Nexus and Pizzey Park, which was really old, and then a bunch of old shitty skate parks. But Nexus was like
okay. I know. Do you remember Manly? Like that was. I went to Manly like later in life, and I'm like, this is the crappiest skate park I've ever seen. I was like, I remember seeing this in like plebs and the mags. I was like, oh, this. They used to take like pros there, like Markovic and all that. I'm like, imagine them getting there, going like, what is this?
Dude, I seen Chris Markovic skate there at a demo.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he blindside kickflip that pimple in the middle, right?
Dude, actually, you were probably at the same demo. I was there, yeah. And he had an eyebrow ring. Chris Markovic had an eyebrow, and I just was like, no way! Like the first one I've ever seen an eyebrow ring. Like that's the coolest thing ever. I want one of them, you know. And he had his long hair, and I don't know. He was like,
I know, and they had who else was there?
Gershon
Mosley. Yeah. Musker was there. He was doing his like frontside flips that weren't really frontside flips. Remember that style?
What was that?
There's like, I don't know, like hard flip type things.
Like a hard flip, shove it weird thing between his legs.
Yeah.
But fuck, he made it look good.
I know. Then you had the different styles. Like you had Musker, then you had the Reynolds, which is like, you know, full back foot catch.
Textbook.
And, so many different styles.
But isn't it funny? I think Musker was a really good example of like, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Like, I mean, he did gnarly shit. Like he was hitting big handrails before other people, you know, just tail sliding on 50-50. But really, he wasn't that tech, and he wasn't really doing like groundbreaking maneuvers. But fuck, he made things look so good.
And just he kind
And
of controlled his whole narrative as well by having like the Muscat Beats thing, and he was always made sure he had his like boombox and his art and his shoes and stuff in there. Like he created like his own content, like before even like that was before social media, right? Like remember Muscat Beats and stuff, like I was always like, this is so cool, like even his graphics and stuff, and just having that boombox and stuff around, it just made if it was just a guy with like shorts and a t-shirt doing the same tricks, you'd have been like, this guy ain't at that level.
Yeah. He was just creating a personal brand and just marketing himself like everywhere he went, and he did it so well. And I think like it brings back memories of like Christian Hossai sort of used to do that too, without knowing he was doing it. Like he'd rip his shirt off and he'd use it as a headband.
He had it out the back pocket.
Had it out the back pocket, and it was like, and I guess like so marketable. Like he just looked good, and
I know. And then you had your Hawks, who was just like straight down the line, like clean cut, but also that was later in life. But he used to have that crazy hair, like the comb over. Remember that big peroxided fringe and stuff he used to have, and pink t-shirts.
Dude, you kind of remind me of Tony Hawk.
Hey, I met Tony Hawk at Extreme. He was at Extreme Surf and Ski. Got a photo with him. Me and my dad got a photo with Hawk. He signed my 411 VHS on the front cover. He was doing a backside ollie, no hand at like Encinitas. That huge vert ramp at Encinitas. Yeah, can't believe I remember all this stuff. Hey, it's so trippy. I haven't thought about this stuff in forever. I remember the names of like California towns where these skate parks were, just from the movies.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up that, because I know that you skated in one of the Extreme Games. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm spacing.
Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, they had a national qualifying series at a couple of places, and one of them ended up being at Ferry Meadow, which is awesome. It's my home park. I really, really, and I was ripping at that time. That was probably when I was skating my best. So I was really, really hoping to land a spot. I think it was the first two, I think, went qualified from memory. And yeah, me and Akasha Adams, another local ripper from back in the day, got through. And then it was an awesome experience. It was up at the Sydney Olympic Park. Awesome street setup. Kind of reminded me of the Munster comps. Remember the first Euro comps? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did quite well. I mean, I placed 8th, I think. And to be alongside people in the finals like Caballero, Kerry Getz, all these awesome people that I looked up to, standing on the deck of this street skate with this Caballero and stuff was such a trip. Awesome memories. Of course, my dad was there in the crowd filming, and yeah, it was a trip, man. It's good memories, and that's why I'm so stoked about the whole thing. My journey through skateboarding and stuff is because, I've done those things, and it's not like, oh, I wish I would have got to do this, or I wish I would have got to do that. It's more to do with what I did do, which was just awesome memories, like great memories of. And I still really love skateboarding in the scene. I really follow it closely. I don't really skate myself much anymore. That's not really out of any particular reason. It's just out of like, I've got X amount of time. What am I interested in at the moment? And also a slight fear of like, snapping my arm or something and just going like, oh, I can't work. I can't do this. It's just a fear in the back of my head that I'm like, oh, my wife will be like, oh, how did you snap your arm in like 5 places? I was, tried to drop in at Unanderra. She'll be like, what? Why? What were you thinking?
Yeah, and I guess like it's just being responsible, and taking ownership.
But I really want to like, I'd like to get like padded up and have a crack at, Ferry Meadow at that vert ramp and stuff. Just not anything major. Just even like dropping in and maybe getting like an edger or a grind or something, like, you know, and just having that confidence to bail to my knees and kind of just learning to, because I never really learnt to do that stuff with pads and stuff, you know, like it's either like all or nothing. I really like to be able to transition, because you think that it's more dangerous, but it's actually safer to do that type of skateboarding because you got a bigger surface area, you can bail out, and you know.
Yeah, you're not like it's like that blunt impact of landing from down a set of stairs or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the type of stuff that, like, I mean, I broke my toe the other day. I kicked it on the bed. I kicked it on the bedpost when I walked past and broke my toe. So like, yeah. And I've been hobbling around for like a week.
Which
just
toe?
going, oh,
big toe?
My toe's broken. Like the one next to my pinky on the left.
That's so sore.
But it's just, it's killing me. But I had Canberra Marathon last weekend, and it was hurting still. But I go down with a group of friends every year. I actually dressed up as Darth Vader for the ultra marathon.
So hang on a second. You did an ultra marathon in a Darth Vader outfit.
Yeah. Yes.
How many kilometers is that?
It was 50.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It was, I'd done the 50. I kind of committed to it like a year ago, and then it got postponed because of COVID, but then it come back on, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I committed, and I raised a bit of money and stuff. And then, the guys are like, you don't have to do this, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, I thought it might be funny. It might bring a smile to someone's face. And sure enough, like people were pretty pumped when they saw me out on the course, like kids, and people were like, they were pretty surprised to see me running past.
What is doing an ultra marathon? Like, what does it do for you mentally? Like, why are you so drawn to it? Is it like a meditation?
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, 100%. It's meditative, really good for my mental health. I suffer a bit with anxiety, and it really is part of my kind of care plan, I guess. My wife really knows that, I wake up in the morning and, I'm basically just putting on my shoes. It's not even like a question like, oh, I'm going running. It's just like, oh, yeah, Ryan's going to do his thing before he starts the day. He's going to get his head right.
It's medicine.
Yeah, it is 100%. And I get similar things out of CrossFit, but not as much as the running stuff. I guess it's because it's small. You're not at CrossFit. It's a social thing. The community is great. You're talking to people all the time. With running, it's usually solo. Usually listen to some music or a book or a podcast. Just kind of having an hour to yourself. And I know you like to run and stuff like that as well. And I'm sure it's the same for you. I saw you on a trail the other day and stuff like that. That type of stuff is that's where the real benefit comes.
Well, I'm actually just starting to get into running, to be honest, for that reason mainly, because I had an ankle injury that plagued me for 8 years. I had 2 surgeries on it, just wouldn't heal, constant pain, and it's only now I can actually run again. And it's like I feel like, oh my God, like I've got that gift back. I can still run. I thought I was done, and I can skate again. Like I can really skate, like, and push it and not have to worry about my ankle. And I just feel so free. And I'm just kind of like, well, I've only got a few years of this shit left in me, so I'm going to push my body so hard as long as I can now, so.
Dude, I love that. I was so stoked on that photo of you doing the 5-0 at the barrier spot too. That was so fucking cool.
Thanks, dude.
I love that. I love that so much.
Thank you, man.
I have not been there, and you got to text me the secret code, man, because I want to go there, and that's type of something that I could skate without worrying about hurting myself.
Yeah, I mean, it was tricky. It was a proper road barricade, and a few of the boys put a little bit of concrete at the bottom of it, so you could get up it a bit easier. But it was more like a wall ride type vibe. But I think a truck had reversed and slightly knocked it, so it was on a slight angle. So it was even a little bit easier than doing a straight wall ride. But the location's so magic. Like I can't. I don't know if I can say where it is. Will I get in trouble? Is that like?
No, I think it's up on a particular mountain, right?
It's up in the mountains.
The Illawarra.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And we ended up spending hours up there. There was like me and Ryan and Kane. And we just skated it for hours and hours, and it took me back to being a grom, like when when you were young as well, like when we didn't have fancy skate parks and we'd have one obstacle and we'd appreciate it, and we just would hang there for hours, and more than just skateboarding would happen in that time. The conversations would evolve, and the bonding would evolve, and the connection with each other evolved. And we're present. I think that's we're in the present moment longer. But I just feel like, without sounding too much like an old fuddy-duddy, it's like everything's just we've got so much convenience, and everything's so disposable, and we want instant gratification. And even I honestly see like really good modern skate parks now as instant gratification. Like, there's your perfect ledge, there's your perfect flat rail, there's your perfect transition. And I've become like, it's desensitized to it. Like, I mean, back in the day, imagine seeing a skate park like what's that new one, like Oran Park? Like, that's a sick park. Imagine
seeing street league, one of the street league courses or something.
Right.
You'd be like, what? Dude, like, I was thinking about this. I wrote some notes just to trigger my memory.
Yes, Ryan.
I was just saying, back when it all first kicked off, Thursday nights in Wollongong, we used to start at the youth centre, Wollongong Youth Centre, a Thursday night. Just some, like, I think Barry had built like a quarter pipe. It was just like two obstacles. There was a flat bar screwed into the ground. And then everyone would skate, like, picture this like 20-person skate march, I guess, down to the Wollongong the IPAC. Remember the Performing Arts Centre? The tiles there, the pavers? And then, there would just be everyone down there, like the Morris brothers. Do you remember Ben and Dan Morris? Yeah, just ripping. And like I said, I grew up on Plebs, and, I was watching the Plebs.
Australian skate movies?
Yeah, the Australian skate movie Plebs, with like, with all those dudes on there, like Davo, but it was just the places they're skating, and it's like so even the street spots then, it's just so crap, like, in comparison to what we have now. Even the architecture and stuff we have now leads just to better spots, like double sets and all that stuff. It just seemed like at that time there wasn't really any of that stuff around. It was like dirt gaps, like that type of thing. There was just nothing.
So interesting, hey?
Do you remember remember in Nowra, the gap at the post office called the Moot?
Yeah. I mean, I used to skate it all the time. Yeah. I remember that video you're talking about. I wasn't there that night, but I think the boys were like wasted. Yeah, wasted, and like, I think he was trying to kick. He's trying to kick.
Yeah, I think he was trying to kick flip it. Yeah, and he was. Yeah, it was so funny. But picture me at 10 watching that, just going like, this is awesome.
It's really funny. Because I remember when that happened. Because I mean, I wasn't there for that night in particular, but over the years I've heard a lot of people bring that up. Like, I think it was just so funny and random, and it was funny. And then I think Julian licked dog shit in that movie. Like, he licked the dog shit.
Yeah, $100%. And then but just, I remember Davo, like, oh man, like, he was so young at that point, and that his part was like the best. He had the marquee part, apart from was it Alex Smith?
Alex Smith, there's a name. Yeah. He was.
Yeah, so he was like the ultra tech street dude.
Well,
Davo was doing some bigger shit.
Alex Smith was kind of like because he was back in that era when vert was God still. Everyone was all about vert skating, and then in that early 90s period, I remember he was kind of like one of the first real breakthrough, just pure street Sydney skaters. I would hear about him and stuff. Like, he was like this mythical, legendary skater.
Yeah. Yeah, like huge baggy pants and like size 29 wheels.
Yeah. Like
basically riding on bearing covers. Yeah. For me,
what a name to remember, Ryan. Shit.
I know. But they had dudes like Seb Steele and that in there, like.
So you remember Seb Steele too? Yeah.
I remember.
It's from Queensland.
Oh yeah, the Pizzy, and of course Andrew Curry and those guys. I love Cuz, and those guys.
Andrew Curry.
that's what I grew up on, man. Like, you talk about posters in your room, like, Slam and Australian Skateboard magazine, when you used to cover your school books and folders and stuff. Mine was just like all skateboarding, and I see sometimes they share old photos on Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, dude, I had that on the front cover of my like maths book, and the memory just goes like, I must have looked at that image like 1,000 times, and I just straight away my memory just goes straight back there. That's when you put that photo up of Pizzy. I'm like, dude, I reckon that could be any hip in the world, but I'm like, that's Nexus. Like, I'm like, when you, yeah.
Well, I don't want to correct you. I don't want to correct you too much. That photo actually wasn't at Nexus. That here for no, it was at a skate park near there called Toombul. Okay. But I was skating at Nexus for a whole week, and also I was skating at this place called Paddington Skate Park in Brisbane,
Paddo,
which was actually a really good skate park. Paddo had a really good mini ramp, and I remember that skate park was built under this beautiful big fig tree that covered the whole park. And just like it had a really good vibe, like
they used to take. I remember they used to take the pros there and stuff to tour and stuff. I remember, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Again, that's when there was only a handful of skate parks in the whole country, and pro tours would literally hop in a van and they'd drive those American pros like thousands of kilometers up and down the East Coast, and stop at the select, maybe probably a total of 5 skate parks the whole way down.
Like sell product to buy beer and stuff. I remember it all, man. Like, who wants to buy some Spitfire wheels? They used to have these big bags of Spitfires. They're like, $20, and they're like, cool, I got my beer money for tonight. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah. Beer money or trade them for weed or.
Yeah, I remember
funny.
I remember, and I thought I'd made it. I started getting flowed for Osiris shoes at one point. Yeah.
Did you really?
And I was with. Do you remember? Jamie
amazing.
Goodwin from Newcastle? Yeah. So me and Jamie Goodwin.
I do. Yeah.
And his older brother and stuff. We were on Osiris, and they sent us on a little bit of a mini South Coast tour, and I'll never forget. It was the Tarago van, which is like, that's what you always wanted to be. And like, I was like, man, I'm in a Tarago and it's got an Osiris sticker on the back. I'm like, I've made it. Like, it was just so funny that I remember seeing the Tarago pull up with the Toy Machine sticker on it, and just like, that's them. Like, it's so true. It's a trip, hey.
That is crazy. The Tarago.
Yeah.
I still love the Tarago.
You don't have enough kids yet.
I need one. No, I mean, I have 2 kids. I think I'm done at 2, but Taragos are just epic. Yeah, they're comfortable. Yeah,
fit your surfboard in there.
Safe. Fit your surfboards in, as well as the kids and the pram and the shopping and the missus. You're stoked.
That's it. No, but I just that was it's weird though. Like, have you noticed that you never see like demo stuff anymore? Like demos, I haven't. When was the last time you seen? And maybe I'm just out of the loop, but I haven't seen like, Zero's doing a demo tour. They're going to be at Fairmeadow, or not that they'll come to Fairmeadow, but they're going to be at Western Creek in Canberra or something. Like, when was the last time that? I haven't seen any of that for like 5, 6, 7, 10 years.
Yeah, I know they happen. Actually, when I was in Bali, there was actually a skate demo with some pro skaters. Oh, is it Cyril Jack? Have you heard of that guy, Cyril Jackson, DC skater? And I think he skates for Baker as well. Cyril, love him.
Yeah. He's got the dreads, right?
Yeah, and him and another guy, Jamie, someone. I was a bit out of it. It was so crowded. I freak out in crowds. So, but again, just to emphasize what you're saying is that I think demos are so important, because I remember even at that demo, which was the first one I'd seen in probably 10 or 15 years. I mean, the hype was just off the hook. Like, people were so excited. The vibe was just epic, and they were playing epic music, and they had bands, and at this skate park in Bali called Amplitude Skate Park, and shout out to those guys because I love them and hope they're okay over there. But I know what you mean. There needs to be more of that.
Had a Bali a massive extended family Bali holiday get put off because of COVID, unfortunately. We were meant to be there in I think August of last year, so kind of sucks, man. We can't wait to get back over there. My mum and dad have been going to Bali since they were 18, basically almost yearly, surfing, G-Land and everything. And my dad's my dad's pretty awesome. He loves Bali so much. He's those little beach, those like young guys that just like set up like, a couple of bean bags and just say like, hey, this is my bar or whatever. They got like an esky with some bintangs or whatever. Yeah, they always used to go back to the same one. And yeah, my dad's been sending him some money and stuff, like just each week saying like, oh, here's $20 or whatever. And they're like, oh, thanks, Mr. Steve. Like, so he's been really supporting him and we definitely can't wait to get back over there, as I'm sure you can, mate.
Yeah, and I think people need to go back there as soon as we can, just to help. But it's funny. You mentioned that your dad loves it. I mean, I know he's a surfer, so he'd love it better. I can kind of get the vibe that he would also love the people over there because, like, I think I could see that your dad would resonate with those people because they are so kind and sincere in everything they say and do. And I can see why he'd really identify with that. So
and we were lucky. We went there for our honeymoon, me and my wife.
Did you?
We've gone back 9 years. We had an awesome time, and
Nice.
It was the funniest thing was trying to get my dad to like stop giving us like inside information. He's just like, okay, so when you get there, like this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna do this, and then you're gonna do that, because he's like Mr. Bali.
Yeah.
It was so cool. He's just like, if someone says this, they're lying. If they say that, they're telling the truth. And like, he's just giving me all the inside info. It was cool. Like,
and you guys are like, we just want to work it out ourselves, Dad.
Yeah, but I was also, also like, no, I'm like, we should listen to my dad's advice. I'm scared. No, no, we went to
I'm more scared in Australia.
we went to Uluwatu. Yeah, of course, Blue Point. We had an awesome time there.
Nice, bro.
Yeah, I really liked it, man. Looking forward to going back.
That's so good, bro. I love it. I love it too. But listen, man, it's been epic. It's been like well over an hour, and I would just want to just say like it's just so amazing just to hear like different nostalgic perspectives, especially around skateboarding. And I love that skateboarding has become such a legitimate and pure subculture that older guys such as us, although I'm much older than you, I think, just nurture those memories so closely, and they're so important to us, and they're so important to me. And I was talking to Guy Miller the other day, and he was saying like, you got to remember, we need to talk about this stuff because the next generation that are coming through, he goes, did you know there's like a lot of kids these days who don't even know who Danny Way is? I'm like, what? How do you not know Danny Way? And I'm sure there's kids who don't really give a fuck about Tony Hawk, or they only know him because of that computer game. There'd be a lot of kids who don't even really know who Steve Caballero is, And I mean, these are big deal cultural influences, not just on skateboarding, but on society. Like the street culture and fashion has infiltrated all of society. Like everyone wears skate shoes now of some way. Like everyone wears Vans, and people actually go, well, that all started from skate fashion because a bunch of skaters wanted to skate around in them. And I guess in fashion too, like baggy jeans, like skaters started wearing baggy jeans. I mean, and it's gone full circle now. And now like people are wearing baggy jeans again. And it's just, I don't know. I think it is one of the.
Yeah, remember when Vision Streetwear, dude, became like a fashion brand? I was like, what? Like, that used to be like the most like punk, like, Vision Streetwear, like jumper was so cool. And then, you see some like Instagram model walking down with a Vision shirt on. You're like, dude, what? You don't even know what that is.
You see some culture, like some influencer on Instagram wearing a Thrasher t-shirt and walking down the street in a pair of high heels and a Thrasher t-shirt. And I'm like, do you even know what you're wearing? Like, you don't even know what Thrasher is.
I know.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. I do believe that skateboarding influences so much beyond skateboarding. So.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Anyway, listen, man, I ask all guests to come to the podcast with a cause that they want to support or advocate for. So what do you got for us today, brother?
I've always had a soft spot for Sea Shepherd. I've raised money for Sea Shepherd in the past, and my wife, we buy a lot of their merch and stuff like that, and we've made donations previously. So yeah, Sea Shepherd's big. Most recently, just with my running stuff, raised some money for the Australian Children's Cancer Institute, which is, just basically, obviously the name says it all, mate. Just and having kids myself, and I'm sure you know that that's something that would be the worst thing you could imagine. So yeah, just Sea Shepherd and the Children's Cancer Institute of Australia, mate.
Epic, bro. So there is a link to Sea Shepherd and the Australian Institute of Cancer. Is that the one?
Australian Children's Cancer Institute.
Australian Children's Cancer Institute. So there is a link.
That's it, mate. Yep.
There is a link to those causes in Ryan's episode show notes, which you can find on the terriblehappytalks.com website if you're not already listening to this podcast on that website. I can't talk properly. But there's also links to it in the various other places that you can find this podcast, whatever platform you like to listen on, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, and whatever your preferred platform. It always helps if you could subscribe. Leave a review. Even if it's bad, I'll be stoked on a review. Give me some feedback. Be honest. Be real. Don't fucking beat around the bush. I've got no time for that shit. Just be honest.
5 stars, dude. 5 stars.
Thanks, bro. 5 stars. But listen, and so that's where you can, this is what I love with this aspect of the show. It's like I'm getting guests to highlight a cause and give people an opportunity to be of service or give in some way. I honestly feel like, and myself included, I think people want to help, but they don't know how to help. And so it's always good to plant some seeds of ideas about how we can help the world. And yes, Sea Shepherd is close to my heart. I love that they're a little bit militant, man. I don't give a fuck. But that's how change happens, and we need this. We need to go hard. But anyway, now, gift for you, Ryan. Our friends at Enduro will be sending you a pair of flip-flops or slides made from repurposed motor vehicle tires. So big thanks to Enduro.
Oh yeah.
So I need to get your shoe size, bro, and your postal address. I'll get that after the show. And I've got a sticker for you, but I don't have it here because we're not together. But I'm coming to Wollongong in the next couple of weeks, bro. So maybe we should meet up for a coffee, and I'll give you the THT sticker.
That'd be awesome, man.
I only give them out to people that have been on the show. So there's now only 100. There'll be episode 104. So 104 of them out there. Sick,
that's
bro.
Epic, dude. Thanks.
And I think that's it, bro. Is there anything else you want to say? Like you want to shout out to anyone?
No, man. I just really appreciate you, man. And I've listened to the podcast for ages. So obviously I'm pretty biased. I'm always looking for the people from the Gong and that I know. Like Nick Squires, Ryan Grant, Sam Giles.
Epic.
And yeah, those episodes are awesome. I love to hear from people I know, which is cool. And also, I've just had a mind blank, man. There was one other person that I really liked. I was the dude that was talking about like the permaculture and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like that really resonated because we've got chickens in the back now. We've got some gardens going, and yeah, I really loved that episode. It made me and motivated me. Yeah.
Fuck yeah! I'm so glad to hear that because I love that too. I mean, Daniel. His name's Daniel Dayton.
Yeah.
He's from Wollongong, but he lives in Queensland now. But being from Wollongong, you've probably seen the Tom Thumb Lagoon Reserve.
Yes, that was the one.
Now,
yeah.
I don't know if you know the history of that space.
That tripped me out, man. That tripped me out.
You probably drive past it every day and go, oh, look at all those beautiful trees, and it's like a forest area. Well, nah, it's not, man. That is the biggest lump of toxic landfill you could ever imagine. And Dan regenerated it literally by hand with a very small group of people and did a lot of it himself and regenerated a toxic landfill industrial site and turned it into nature and healed the land. I mean, And he's taken me through a tour through it, man. These trees grow, and sometimes just randomly they'll tap into something toxic, and you'll see like a whole cluster of trees just die in that space because
they hit something underneath. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean those wetlands. If you can ever look up pictures of those wetlands where BHP is now, they were huge, amazing natural wetlands. Now, like I don't want to put shit on BHP because like they're not the only ones who have ever done that, and industry is necessary, and it's created a lot of livelihoods for a lot of people and done a lot of good things. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But I guess also like you have to highlight these things so the mistakes of the past aren't made, and that's why I love that episode because like Dan is just like he lives and breathes environmentalism. Like it's his essence of what he does. Like, it's to the point where it's embarrassing. I remember he came to my school and helped me build a permaculture garden there at Albion Park High, and he's seen kids throwing like food scraps in the bin, like apple cores and their sandwich crust, and just in front of all the kids, just put his hands in the bin and pulled it all out. He's like, "We've got to compost this. This is food for the plants." And the kids are like, "Holy shit, dude!"
That's so cool.
Anyway, I went on a massive rant there, but I'm super passionate about it.
I'm gonna have to listen to that episode again, man, because I did enjoy it, and you just reminded me of the Tom Thumb part. So next
time you go for a hike through Tom Thumb Lagoon, and you'll look at it. Because there's the gates there, and it's a nature reserve, right?
Yeah.
But you walk through that place with a completely different perspective. It was an unregulated dump for a long, long time. But again, it was lack of education, lack of knowledge, maybe. But things have moved forward since then, so that's a positive.
100%, man.
Anyway, so I ran over, so I got pretty excited, eh?
Right. Thanks so much for having me on, man. I really appreciate you, and like whenever I see you, and whether it be in Wollongong Ball or whatever, it always brings a smile to my face, dude. And it's so awesome to speak to you, man.
Nah, man, fucking likewise, dude. I'm stoked. All right, stay on the line, man. But let's go. See you, brother.
See you, mate.